Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining us here on MX24 television. This is the Spotlight Show. My name is Carlos Caloni. This evening, we are dealing with skyrocketing food prices, and we are asking, is Agric Minister's proposal the way to go? And how are you feeling the heat yourself with respect to the ever-increasing prices of foodstuffs? Many Ghanaians can bear witness that the last couple of weeks have really not been easy at all. And it appears there's a cost of living crisis where each and every aspect of daily life expenses have seen a dramatic increase. Now, the dangerous part has to do with how food prices are currently threatening our very existence. Currently, the ability to afford 3 square meals a day, according to a section of the public, is considered a blessing. Now, it appears the formation offered by the Honorable Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, Samuel Nate George, has become very handy now, even than before. So, I want to find out, how do you do it? 101, 001, or 100? Where do you belong? Later in the program, we'll give you the opportunity to share with us what you make of that formation. But there seems to be some good news, or better still, let's say there's some hope in the pipeline, especially for those living in the urban centers. The Minister for Agriculture, Dr. Owusu Afriyie-Akoto, has actually announced that his ministry is putting measures in place to actually transport foodstuffs from the hinterlands to the urban centers. According to the minister, food is abundant currently in the farming communities. However, transportation cost is the cause of the hikes in prices in the cities. So let's listen to the Agric Minister when he was actually disclosing this initiative.
Bedru has a bono abohum yumiensa. Into Woody Chemo Conca, there is a bohu bed, and as Santona AC, the one more cranny, Gidise, a Dianino, Dianide, a hobby pay, said a moment. And one says, Falcon Biswa, if it's my money born up for more can now almost when you be a disate, the Mosumia be due a wasen. And Tehunshi Shano, and I'm the jam is a forjo. Say a per se, mere ministry, free next week, you know. Ye be fa board DNA e ho nema eba ye ministry e be bon de roma obi a wo paduane fofo ato no obetima ba Ministry of Food and Agriculture no abeto na wo hu say Western Dot for na mo feeding craft for no.
So that was the Agric Minister when he was interacting with some farmers in Sefi. We also in the Western North region. Now, this solution announced by the minister has been met with mixed reactions from some stakeholders and the public. So let's take a listen to what some Ghanaians have been saying about this initiative.
On the whole, it wouldn't be a bad idea, but my worry is how sustainable is this going to be? I doubt. Is it going to be a 90-day wonder? After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're going to be fed up. And everybody going all the way to the Ministry of Agric to go buy foodstuff, I think it's a bad idea. Can't it be decentralized? Maybe district by district, maybe constituency by constituency. Then we can begin to have or feel the impact. But from what I hear and as it's been arranged now, I doubt if we're going to have any better impact. Yes, we hear them say there's so much food in the hinterlands, there's so much food, it's getting rotten and stuff like that. But how do we get them moved here? That is the plan they're trying to come up with, but I don't think this one would pass. They need to go a step further.
I don't think the proposal will help Ghanaians. Yeah, because our mothers have been buying from the farm way back, and I think they are doing well, and that's the source of income that they also get, and that's how they make life. So buying from the farm to sell it in the agric premises doesn't make sense, wouldn't make sense to Ghanaians. I believe transport, most of the hike in food prices is due to fuel increment. So if the fuel prices come down, I believe food prices will also come down.
Heavy trucks run on diesel, and diesel used to be cheap. So they run to long distance and convey food to Greater Accra region for us to get food. And it's going to be on a cheaper basis. But right now, fuel is very expensive and nobody can even petrol. I never even dreamt I can buy 1 gallon for 100 cedis. And you're telling me I still have Community 25, so I need to drive to Food and Agriculture or whatever to come and buy 1 tube of yam. Considering the fuel cost and how much is that going to even sustain me and my family, it doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think it's a good idea. It's not all about just selling a food affordable just in the ministry. You need to pick transport. Do you know where I stay? My place is far. I'm living in Dowenya. Do I have to come and pick car from Dowenya to ministries and come and buy food? I don't think that's a good idea. They just have to reduce and plan for food, and they have to, I don't know, reduce price in the market.
Why do you expect me to drive from Dowenya to Accra ministries of what food to go and buy plantain? Or is it going to pay for my fuel? It doesn't make sense. And I don't know, is it our leaders, is it that they are not thinking or they don't want to think?
That policy or that idea is not going to help us. For government, for the Ministry of Agriculture, going to the village and buying the food by themselves, bringing it to Accra will not solve the problem. We all know where the problem is. Let's tackle the problem and let's solve it together. Reduce the price of fuel and everything will come back to normal. Going to villages and buying food to Accra. Look at the population, even from my station here, the Defraco Junction to Pram Pram, we have about more than 20,000 people. If we all line up at Accra Ewak, they cannot supply all of us with, in a day. Accra will be congested. So with that idea, they shouldn't talk about this at all.
The system is very higher. The system is very higher, and we need support from the government. We don't have money. No money in the system. We are suffering too much.
Clearly, that's what Ghanaians think. So today on Spotlight, we are going to assess the feasibility of this idea and how it can help to deal with the situation at hand. Now, the show is interactive. You can visit our Facebook page at MX24 TV to leave your comment under the live stream. Don't forget to like and share. We'll also be opening the phone lines at the later part of the show for you, your audience, to actually phone in and share your experiences with the rest of the world. Now, it's time for me to introduce my guest on the show. We are fortunate to be joined by Mr. Karawe, Edward Karawe. He's General Secretary for General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU. We also have Vincent Amejake, who is joining us on Zoom. Later, we'll be expecting others to join us for the discussion. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, so
thank you.
Nice one. Let me find out from you, what's your initial remarks to the situation we find ourselves in? I want to pick your thoughts, Vincent and Edward Karawe. Let me begin with you, Edward Karawe.
Well, my initial thought is what I said earlier, that this exercise by the minister is an exercise in futility. It will not achieve its objective, yet it will create cost for the Ghanaian taxpayer.
Okay. So you think it's not sustainable?
It's just not a good policy. Not to now talk about it being sustainable.
Okay.
So it's not sustainable. It's not a good policy. It's not sustainable.
Okay. I'll come back to you so we delve into why you think it's not a good policy and it's not sustainable. But Vincent Amejake, what do you make of this whole announcement by the minister?
Good evening, Carlos. Let me say good evening to your cherished viewers. It is something that's taking me by surprise. As of now, you would have expected that once all Ghanaians are crying at how much things are costing, there should be probably an announcement that certain food prices should be sold at certain percentages or certain prices. So hearing the Minister of Agri say that he is going to plan and then have some kiosk or shares at the ministry to transport food from the 31 area to the ministry, I don't know how that is supposed to solve the problem of Ghana at the moment. If you're transporting the food from just the worst area, what happens to the other parts of the world? Are those outside Accra into Accra to come and buy food stuff? Those in Tamale, those in Kumasi, those in Boga and the other areas, are they all going to come to Accra to buy food? It's just not something I feel it's proper for Ghanaians at this moment.
All right, thank you so much. Let me add that we've been trying to reach the Ministry of Food and Agriculture to speak to us on this matter. We are still in the process of getting them to speak to us. And so as and when we have them, we'll let them join to give some explanation to what the minister actually meant when he made that announcement. But let me come back to you, Dr. Mr. Edward Karaway. You said the policy or what has been announced by the minister is not a good policy. Why do you think it's not a good policy?
Well, the ministry has got a function. And then I don't think that it is part of the function of the ministry to buy food and supply and sell to the public. Why am I saying so? I don't think that the staff of the ministry, either the extension officers or the administrative staff, have got skills in buying and selling. So who are they buying the food to sell to the public? The second thing is that the ministry doesn't have space to come and put that food there to sell. I mean, are they going to create a market at the ministry? And where is the space? You know? And you can't create a market in the ministry. Look, the ministry area is not as the field of agriculture. So you can imagine heavy trucks that will come to the ministry there to offload that food, and heavy trucks will come to load that food stuff. Meanwhile, we already know that the ministry is a congested place. Particularly the Ministry of Agriculture, when you even drive there, you hardly find a space to park your car. So I just don't know what the minister thinks about it, and he thinks that it is doable. And in any case, he has not even told us how much it is going to cost to carry out that exercise. And in any case, is he going to use his own money to do that, or the taxpayers' money? If the minister has had that money, then he should have invested that in agriculture, in increasing production. Look, the poultry industry is total collapse because they don't have poultry feed, they don't have soya, they don't have maize. Why is it that the ministry will not inject that money into propping up the poultry industry? So, in all, it's a total, it's just a waste of time for all of us. It will lead to avoidable cost. It will lead to corruption. You know, it will lead to people pocketing money that they will not have had, because you can't account for it. How is he going to get his people to account for the money when they sell the foodstuffs? Won't some of the foodstuffs also get rotten? Is it going to be plantain? Is it going to be maize? Is it going to be yam? I mean, it's a crazy idea, but then I understand why he's behaving that way. It's because he has already claimed that the Plan for Food and Justice program is 100% successful, and that there is food in the country. So he's doing that to cover for the shortage of food that we are experiencing.
Okay, so let me, if I may cut you there a bit, but some are saying that, like you're saying, this is a way to blame the middlemen and the transporters for the chaos or the food price hikes that we are experiencing. Is that a view you are trying to share?
Well, he has already blamed them. But again, the government knew the existence of the Ministry of Agriculture and yet set up the buffer stock company. This is the work of the buffer stock company. Meanwhile, the buffer stock company is constrained with the resources to be able to mop up food in the rural area, store it, and sell it later on to the public. So why would the minister and the Minister of Agriculture attempt to overstep their duties, their boundaries, to go into become a middleman institution? You know,
So you think all these are some of the factors?
The way power can be abused. Yeah, it's just a matter of how people can abuse power. Because he's still insisting on it. And he's the one driving it.
So as stakeholders, have you been consulted? Have you been consulted in a way by the ministry on this particular issue?
No, we have not been consulted, and I'm in touch with other institutions that have not been consulted either.
Okay, but you are the main drivers of agriculture business in the country, and so if you've not been consulted, then what does that mean in terms of the policy?
Well, it's not because we are not consulted. That's why the policy is not good. But the policy by itself is not good. And it's also not good because he has failed to consult. Well, if we are consulted, we would have helped to make the policy better. But he's on his own, just because he has got political power, and then he can do that. But unfortunately, we will not allow him to do that because he's using state resources. In fact, that is not his personal money. And we will not allow him to create loss to all of us as a Ghanaian. And in any case, the president recently just came out to say that we should rally behind him to help fix this economic mess that we are in. So what that also means is that it requires transparency on the part of government. And here is the minister refusing to be transparent, you know, because how much money he's going to use, he's not telling us. So we will not allow him to just go ahead and do whatever he wants to do. So, in fact, that will be total abuse. And we will, if he still goes ahead to do it, in fact, we would take steps to make sure that he accounts to the people of this country. Because he's there on the ticket of the people of this country. He's being paid and then pampered by the people of this country.
Okay, so I'll come back to you so we delve into how you're going to actually stop the minister from rolling out this particular policy that he has announced. But let me go to Vincent Amejake. I want to find out from you, what do you make of the impact that this particular policy is going to have on, say, market women as well as transporters who actually depend on this particular aspect of business to make ends meet? What impact do you think it will have on them?
No, thank you. Before I come to the question, I think the doctor and Gao did express that the ministry's role is not to be transporting food or establishing a market. We all know that the ministry has a mandate under the constitution, and one of that is for them to provide logistics and provide research material that can help farmers to do their work. Farming implements like fertilizers, processes, are some of the things the ministry is supposed to be in charge of. And if the ministry has not been able to do that, then you realize that you will have challenges. Let me briefly mention some of the issues pertaining to the current food shortage and price increases we have.
Okay.
Farmers for some time have been able to get access to fertilizers. Some of them if you're able to buy, you're buying the fertilizer for more than 300, 500 cedis as of now. And those are some of the real issues that are confronting farmers, and that is why we are all suffering with the prices of food. Now, if the minister is saying that he's going to have a market in front of his ministry, I am thinking that, first of all, it is not possible, even if it says it would only target just a few. The market women would still have their produce to sell. In context, he was saying that they are going to cut the food items from the especially water area. So maybe the market women who get their food supply from that area are the only ones who probably may be affected. And if I am a market person and I don't get my food stuff from the water area, probably I may not be affected. If I'm in the Volta region, in the eastern region, or in the northern part of the country, I don't see how that would affect me in any way. The other aspect of transportation, there are certain groups who have put up services in the transport area to help transport food items from the hinterland to the market areas, particularly in Accra.
All right.
So if the is providing transport to move goods from the areas you mentioned. Therefore, the farmers may want their goods to come to Accra probably at a cheaper price or cheaper rate. So they want to go with the minister. So it would hamper those transporters in that area. But again, the question is, what about the other parts of the country? Are those areas going to be affected? I don't think so. What the ministry probably would have suggested and could have gotten support would be that probably they are providing free transport for every transportable product or produce from all parts of the country to market centers. Then would have been applauding, but to say that it's going to have a market in front of the ministry, I really do not see how that is going to happen in the first.
That means that we need some clarity on exactly what the minister meant. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly. And for me, my worry has sometimes been that, you know, in policy formulation and policy implementation, you need to do a lot of planning and engagement with stakeholders. I don't know how that has been done. I don't know whether the minister has done that.
We've just heard from Edward Karewe that they have not been consulted.
Right. So if the Agriculture Union has not been consulted in such a policy, I'm wondering how the minister wants to achieve that. Now it is in the public domain and it is causing attention. I don't see anybody in support of that. So it's really going to be a problem. I don't see the minister, I don't see how he's going to get support to implement such a project. And even if it's going to, like what doctor mentioned, where is he taking the money from to transport the goods? Is it the money that we don't have? Where is he getting that from? We understand. The president mentioned that we are in crisis. We don't have money or we don't have enough to feed ourselves. Where is he going to get the money to transport? Or is he going to get in touch with some transporters to do that service? Maybe he can give some clarity to what he meant, and then probably we can have a broader conversation. But if he's not consulted, those two matter. I not see the
it's actually going to work. Okay, so let me go to Mr. Karewe. You said you're not going to allow the minister to proceed with this particular proposal. And even if he goes ahead to implement it, it will come with some dire consequences. Tell us, as General Agricultural Workers Union, do you have any plan of maybe petitioning the higher authorities, say the president or other ministries, to ensure that the minister doesn't go ahead with this particular plan?
Yes, we will plan on that. And if he goes with it, we'll petition the president. And again, we will also ask under the right of to information to provide us all the detailed plans, what he's going to do. He's not telling us the amount of money he's going to spend. All that, you know, once he's failing to do that, it gives cause for us to think that there's something fishy about it. Otherwise, it's public money. So why don't you account to us? When? So if he's refusing to account to us, we'll ask him to, we'll compel him to give us that information. So we will take steps on it. And if he still refuses to go ahead, we will not mind even going to the court to seek justice for him trying to or haven't misapplied state resources, you know, cause financial loss.
Okay, so there are some people who are also arguing that probably the minister is looking at not bringing the foodstuffs to the Ministry of Agric in Accra because the ministry has agencies across the country, and so maybe it's going to be a decentralized kind of thing. From where you sit, should that happen, do you think that will be a way to maybe help reduce food prices in a way? Say we have some in the regional capitals, for instance.
I'm saying the minister did not say that. He said he will bring it to the ministry. Why are we trying to think for him? What he wants to say is what he said. And what he wants to do is what he's telling us. And that is the more reason we are saying that no, that is not possible. And in any case, he doesn't have any business intervening in to act as a middleman. So for the minister, he's just doing the wrong thing to start with. You see, and that's the thing that we must all write us against him. And that's what some of us have called for, he said. Because where he's now getting to, he's trying to abuse his office to the extent that he's going to misuse our resources. When all of us are telling him that it will not be good, he says it will be good. He will not even consult us. And for whose interest are you doing that?
Okay.
I mean, this is abuse of power.
So Mr. Karaway, you support the call for the Agric Minister to go. Is that it?
We have even called for him to go. Not that we support. Gavu has called for his head to go because he's mismanaging. They have spent over 4 billion Ghana cedis in this platform for food and jobs. And look at the results. Is it because he has traveled to Western North? If he had not gone there, what would they have done? So, I mean, is this exercise going to be a national one? I mean, look, it's just too much disregard for the people of the country. He's behaving as though the ministry belongs to his personal property. So where is he going to, why would he use our money for that? If he wants, he can resign and get into business and then convey food stuffs from the rural areas and come and sell and make money. Is it that the government is going to subsidize the transport cost, or what is it going to do?
Okay, so for the minister to go, we hear there are some people demonstrating tomorrow. Is your organization, your group, are you considering joining, or are you going to have your own way of making sure that the minister goes, since you are saying that he is actually not performing well?
It's a national demonstration, and we support it, and we'll be part of it.
Oh, Gao will be part of the demonstration tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's look at other areas. Some people are saying that even if this program goes ahead, it will really not have any impact because Ghanaians generally consume imported food. Like if you go to the market now, you find a lot of imported rice and all kinds of imported goods. So the percentage of the local food that we consume is not that high. So even if the minister makes this successful, its impact won't be actually felt. Do you think people who think like that have any solid reason to think that way?
The program will not be successful. We can't be talking about what is not possible. And I bet you whether this program will be successful. It's going to be successful in what thing? How many trucks is he able to mobilize to bring food from Western North? Is it only Western North? And so, I mean, the argument, when you went out to the streets to ask people, they told you that they don't support it. And that is not feasible. Even if you look at Accra, now someone can all the way from Adenta to come and buy a bunch of plantain at the ministry there, or 2 fingers or 3 fingers of plantain there. What is he talking about? Is Accra just only the ministry? I mean, it is for this type of thinking that we think that the minister has totally become not important for the ministry.
Okay. So now we have seen the challenge that you are saying it's not feasible. Your other colleague Vincent also believes that this particular proposal by the minister is not something that can yield any positive result. That's the problem. Now let's look at solution. You are an industry player. What do you propose the ministry looks at instead of this particular approach? Some are saying that the minister should maybe collaborate with other agencies and ministries like Ministry of Transport to give some subsidies to transporters so we can drive the food prices down. What is your proposal? What should the minister do, or the Ministry of Food and Agriculture do?
One, this type of that the ministry is trying to enter into is outside its mandate. The ministry cannot give money to transporters or anybody to buy food and come. No, that is not the duty of
You don't support that?
No, it's not even the function of the ministry.
Okay.
And it should not go into that one. That's why we have got a buffer stock company. And government, if it has money to support the evacuation of foodstuffs from the rural area to the urban centers, then it should be through the buffer stock company, but not through the Minister of Agriculture.
Okay. So it shouldn't be directly a business for the Ministry of Food and Agriculture?
Not at all. Not at all. I think what the Minister of Agriculture needs to do is to invest in agriculture. Meanwhile, the minister is not telling us in 2022, this year, how much they have invested in agriculture and how much money are they allocating to Minister of Agriculture so that we would increase food production and avoid a similar situation in 2023. He's not doing that.
Okay. So that's one practical thing you want the ministry to do, to engage with the buffer stock company. Which other steps would you want the ministry to take so we're able to bring food prices down?
The ministry should engage Minister of Finance and engage Minister of Energy or whoever is in charge of fuel so that they bring down the fuel prices. When fuel prices come down, the cost of transporting food from the rural areas will also come down. They should also collaborate with whichever ministry has the function of developing roads to the farm gate to do that. The roads to the farm gates are heavily deplorable. And that is one of the reasons why many of the vehicles that go to the rural areas, they get broken down. And you know that agriculture produce is heavy, they are bulky, and also perishable. So this is what we need to say, to reduce post-harvest losses and also to facilitate private aggregators, private middlemen to be able to cut the food down to the urban areas. And he's mistaken to think that the middlemen are making extraordinary profits. Because when you go to the farm gate to collect the foodstuffs, you need labor to load the vehicles. And then when you come, you need labor. You need a place to store it. Some of them will get rotten. So what is now left, you have to sell it at a price that you'll be able to cover for all this type of cost. So his thinking is just too naive, and he doesn't suggest to us that this is the person who is supposed to lead us has been the agricultural transformation and brought us to this mess. And it is clear, of course, if this is what his whole knowledge about agriculture is, we are not surprised that agriculture is not doing well. And that's why we are saying that we should not allow him to continue to be in that position, because we will never go anywhere with the agriculture sector.
Okay,
we'll get worse.
All right, I'll come back to you so we examine the sector now as it's under the Minister of Agric now. You are sounding as if he's really not achieved much or anything at all at the sector. So I'll come back to you, then we go into that. But let me go to Vincent. I'll ask you the same question. What are some of the things that you think the Ministry of Agric should do, some strategies it should adopt so we will be able to bring food prices down? Don't forget, it is their responsibility to ensure that we have enough food in the country. And they think that bringing the food to the ministry is one key measure. But you are saying you don't think that's actually going to work. So you should have an alternative. Share with us. You are a journalist who has covered a lot of agric stories. What do you think the ministry should do so we have food prices coming down?
Thank you, Carlos. So if you track back to February, when the Ukraine-Russia event started, you would realize that farmers began complaining, at least way before that, but the complaint grew much worse from the time the invasion happened about the price of fertilizer. And I did mention that one of the mandates of the ministry was to help ensure that there is fertilizer supply and some technological supply to farmers. One would have imagined that the planting for food would be yielding results by now, and probably these are the times for us to see whether really the planting for food and jobs was a very good policy that has been implemented to cover the whole nation and so that we have food supply to feed the whole nation. Practically, what the country or the ministry can do is to, first of all, immediately see how we can establish our own fertilizer factories in the country.
All right.
It was 6-7 months since the Russia-Ukraine event happened, and we've not been getting supply of fertilizer in the country, the few that come in are being sold at very expensive prices. The farmers in the village cannot afford 600, 700 worth of MPK and the rest. If the ministry really cares and wants to help really change the...
Yeah, we seem to be having some challenge with Vincent line. Let me go to Mr. Caraway. Now, you've said that the agri sector is not really performing well. So I want to put a direct question to you. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you grade the performance of the agri sector under this minister? Mr. Caraway, can you hear me?
Less than 50%.
Hello?
I'm saying it is less than 50%.
Less than 50%. Why? What are the variables? What are the factors leading to why you are giving the performance of the sector 50% under the minister?
There was no government there. And I'm asking whether there's a government there or not. Some people produce. But we are not looking at the government policy on the existing agricultural practices to be able to address the things that are there. One, to provide for agriculture, to also address other costs of production, high cost of production, then create market and make the food all one. But here is the key. We don't have the food. We don't also have jobs. So for me, the planning for food and jobs, what is left is the agriculture, the last planting for food and jobs. You see? So there's no success to talk about from the government policy in agriculture. But whether there is government policy on agriculture or not, policy on agriculture, you get the point?
Yeah.
It is not the creation, especially the creation of the government. But it is already there. Government through policy needs to improve upon it. But unfortunately, it has failed to improve upon it. But whether the huge cost, as I said earlier, over 4 billion so far been spent on planting for food and jobs. But we are all aware that fertilizers have been spent on to the extent that it is looking back to model them up, unaided by human beings. And it came from the ministry. No one is saying it.
All right. So all these put together, to you, you believe that the performance of the agri sector under the minister is just about some 50%?
I'm not saying 50%. Less than 50%.
Less than 50%?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So now I want us to link the way the Ministry of Agri and the buffer stock company can work hand in hand. We understand the government has been telling us they've built some warehouses across the country. From where you sit, should there be more collaboration between the buffer stock company and the Ministry of Agri in bid to bring food prices down? And I want also to find out from you, the Minister of Agri saying this, you said he's outstepping his powers. Does that mean that he could be facing some legal issues if any Ghanaian decides to take him to court for, doing things outside what the law prescribes that he does?
Yeah, first and foremost, there's always a dispute, and it's part of the government structure. That institution celebrates each other. There's an institutional relationship. So the Minister of Agriculture is supposed to work on in that. It works with the Minister of, it works with manufacturing sector, it works even with the services sector, financial sector, and so on. So the buffer stock relationship with the Minister of Agriculture is real in the sense that you are mopping up the food that has been produced.
All right.
So that relationship, so that's what I'm saying, that there is even money available to buy food from the rural area, then it should be given to the buffer stock
company.
Now, we are talking about when if the district reaches it, mandate, there could be some consequences. Why not? There will be consequences. Some a citizen decides to go to court and then seek an enforcement or an interpretation. So until that is done, the ministry will get away with everything.
Okay. All right. Mr. Karawa, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm with you, sir.
Okay. So let me go to Vincent, who has joined us back on Zoom. Vincent, if you can hear me. I think we're having some challenge with Vincent's connection there. But let me come back to you, Mr. Karawa. Generally, looking at what the minister has been saying, that there is food, there is food, there is food. The challenge is transporting it to the market centers. You heard Agricultural Workers Union. Tell us, do we have food?
There is no food.
There is no food.
There is no food.
Does that mean your members are not producing?
No, they are producing, but their output is low. Because there is low fertilizer producing. They cannot buy the fertilizer on it. And then apart from that, there's other cost of preparing the plant and cost of buying other and so on. Have gone at least more than 3 times.
Okay.
You know, all these things put together, they have cut down their margin and their output. The flood is also low. Application of that. So it isn't that they are not, except that they don't have the input and the credit facilities to be able to meet the high prices. And I also want to say that when we talk about fuel pricing, which is almost a basic, and it's affecting transportation. In the rural areas, the fuel price there is far higher than the one that the urban because people will have to buy the plant areas, but it's not to the rural areas and sell them. And they'll push some margin. So the cost is higher. The transportation cost, that we have to look at that in the urban. If it's in the rural areas, it's higher. Because there's no road in the rural areas. And apart from that, there are very few vehicles that operate there. So they become a monopoly and they decide the price that they want. So in all this development, the rural area, which is the agricultural area, is paying higher price than what we already experience in the urban area, and which all of us are crying.
All right.
So it affects total output. It affects farm size, and then more importantly, the roads are terribly bad. They are terribly bad in the rural areas. Even in the city, we all can see. In the town, we can see some roads are very bad, and we complain about. In the rural area, it's waste. It's waste. To carry the across the river, you cannot do it.
Okay.
The bridges are washed away. So all these things make life and further pressure. And that was the reason why the Plan for Food and Jobs came in to address some of these challenges.
How far has that?
It has failed to address that. It has failed to create markets for the farmers. It has even failed to increase their output because there is no fertilizer. And the Ministry of Agriculture has indicated that the fertilizer subsidy for this year is only 15%. When they started in 2017, it was 50%. After 2021, it was 36%. Now it is now 15%. What is the implication on the price of fertilizer? Granted that the price of fertilizer in 2021 is still the same in 2022.
Okay.
It means that the farmer will have to look for more money.
Oh, yeah.
Because the subsidy have come down.
Okay.
More than half or more than 100%. He has to add more money to be able to buy the same quantity of fertilizer last year. Meanwhile, that is not the price of fertilizer last year is not stable. But it is not only that it's increasing, but it has increased about 3 times.
Okay.
So all these things have militated against agricultural production. And this is what the Plan for Food and Jobs or government policy is supposed to address.
Okay. So you believe that the minister is really not telling Ghanaians the truth?
Certainly, he's not telling the Ghanaians the truth, because if in the years past, why is it that the middlemen were not prospering? Why is it that there was food in the rural areas and the food prices in the urban areas was moderate? It is just because there is absolutely nothing. And the minister's own decision that banned the exportation of some of the foodstuffs that are produced here, mainly soybean and the rest. Why are they constraining exports? It's because we don't have enough. Okay. Otherwise, we cannot be a country looking for more foreign exchange. We should export more. You know, if there's market for our produce, we should export and make more foreign exchange for the country, and then the farmers will also become increase their income. But when you say they should export, it goes to suggest that there is not enough. That is why you are saying they should not export. Then in another way you say that, oh, we have enough food. Then why don't you allow them to export?
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Edward Karawa, for talking to us. We are so grateful for your time. That's Edward Karawa. He's the General Secretary for the General Agricultural Workers Union. And earlier, you heard Vincent Amejake. He's an agricultural journalist. They've been sharing their views on what the Minister of Food and Agriculture has said, that the ministry is considering bringing food from the hinterlands to the city center, especially the ministry, to sell. That's what we've been discussing here on Spotlight this evening on MX24 television. And this is where we wrap up the show. We hope we join you next week for more discussion on other topics. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Carlos Caloni, and have a good evening.